Hey, Rahmut, you're muted.
Oh my gosh! Right.
How
I needed
dare
that on my
you?
bingo card. Good evening, known world. I am Excellency Rahmut al-Tayyiba, coming to you from the amazing kingdom of Artemisia in the barony of Bronzehelm. Now realize that, I have a mute button and it works. I have with me tonight one of my dear friends, Lady Saffeea. Lady Saffeea, if you'd introduce yourself.
Hi, coming to you from the Shire of Stanworm up here in Kingdom of Artemisia. I am Lady Saffeea, the Kingdom Social Media Officer for the Kingdom of Artemisia. And it's nice to be here.
And just to have our little disclaimer, the views and opinions expressed are those of the participants and do not reflect any official policy or position of the SEA Incorporated. Also, we may or may not have a swearing issue. Some of us may have naughty mouths. So, just to let you know, adult language could indeed happen. Well, my dear friend, why don't we start off with a little bit about your SCA story?
I started playing in the Kingdom of Ontir around 1996, which was a long time ago. I had some friends in high school that said, hey, let's go do this thing. And I said, well, all right, why not? Went to an event and it was magic. Of course, like it was for a lot of people. Went to a few events out there, and about 8 months later, my mom and dad said, guess what? We're moving back to Montana, which was where I was originally from. And that was great. We came out here, and I kind of lost track with the SCA for a while. And then after I graduated high school, I started dating a guy, and he said, hey, let's go do this thing. And funnily enough, I knew what he was talking about, and he was surprised. And it's kind of been history ever since. I met my husband and at one of his very first events, amazingly enough. And here we are 20 some odd years later. We left for a little bit due to mundane issues, and we're back. And now I am knee deep in the world of social media, and I have discovered that it is a really, really good way to get and keep people.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, we had talked before the show, and we've got some soapbox issues that we kind of are a little passionate about that we are going to just dive right into because why the heck not, right? So, one of the things that in retention plays a big part is how we treat each other, especially new people, but also especially senior players who've played for quite a while. So, as a social media officer, I know you cannot comment policy-wise, but I know that you have a very good standing rule on people who maybe snark on other people's garb, maybe scold people when they incorrectly give a title. You want to touch on that for a second?
Rule number one in social media, and it's just rule number one across the board, is don't be a dick. Basically, we always tell people that rule number one is courtesy. And it's just, they always say treat others the way you want to be treated. Well, that's true for the SCA. If you wouldn't want somebody to harsh on your garb, why would you do that to anybody else? You don't go up and say, well, that's not period, or why did you use that fabric, or anything else. If somebody's got something you like about it, well, that's the first thing you say. You say, I like that color on you. Or, wow, you did a nice job on that particular stitching, or you pick something you like about it and you compliment them. That's the first thing you say, is you pick something you like and you
Definitely.
compliment them. That is the thing that's going to bring them back. That's the thing they're going to remember. If you make a nasty remark, that's the thing they're going to remember. That's rule number one in retention. If you have something nice to say, they're going to remember that. If you have something nasty to say, they're going to remember that. And trust me, they're going to remember the nasty comment.
And share it with everybody they know.
And they're going to share it with everybody they know.
Especially online.
Especially online. So if they have something nice that you said, man, that is going to stick in their brain. And they're going to go home and they're going to say, wow, somebody said this really nice thing. It was great. And that good experience is going to carry them forward. The bad experience is going to stick in their craw. And I'll tell you, it's going to last. It's going to leave a lasting impression. And that's going to be the thing that is going to drive them out the door. And you don't want that.
No, definitely not.
It's true for the newcomer and it's true for that seasoned player.
Definitely.
So that's rule number one. Be nice. It takes nothing to be nice. It takes no energy on your part. So why not?
Definitely.
Also, wrong titles happen. You make mistakes. If you make a mistake, you say, whoops, I'm sorry. How hard is that?
Well, the person that potentially got, mistitled, I don't even bring it up. Because to me, I remember not knowing, is it my lord, my lady? Is it excellency? Is it your grace? Is it your highness?
But don't make a big deal out of it.
Exactly. Like, I remember being the person who didn't know what to call people. Why would I get offended if somebody calls me something other than what I am?
Oh, and that's true too. So if I were to walk up to you and call you lady, guess what? It's true. You are. Mm-hmm. You might be a baroness, but you're also a lady.
Yep. So I totally earned that ladyship.
Exactly. You earned it. So who cares? It's like our current king for another week said. He says, if they say to me, if they call me Lord Sean, I'll answer to it because
Lord.
I am.
He's not dead yet, Cal.
He says,
Our Majesty
there you go.
Sean is not dead
yet. He says, I might be king currently, but I am also a lord. I earned it fair and square. It counts.
Definitely.
So who cares? It's not a big deal. And they don't know, so why make them feel bad about it?
Exactly.
And that's another thing to retention. Why are we going to make people feel bad about it? Why is it a big deal?
Ooh. Oh, here's one of our commenters. Aslak the Awful. He's incredible. He's really not awful at all. He says, what was supposed to be one of the coolest moments in my essay history stuck as a negative because of an unasked for and unwelcome comment about the periodness of what I was doing. It is good to be mindful of our words. And Aslak, how amazing your period art is as a member of the Order of the Laurel for your amazing art. So, that moment, anytime somebody tarnishes your shine, anytime that happens, it definitely leaves an impression and drives people away for sure. And especially online. because I could delete a comment that I had posted in there about, something negative, but that doesn't mean that somebody didn't see it for that 2 seconds. So I know with the social media, we have a lot more outreach for recruiting and for retention. What is your personal favorite method of social media for retention? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it Twitter? Is it TikTok?
Personally, right now, it's Facebook. But that is just because right now, that is what I have time and ability to use. Right now, there is only one of me. The other kingdoms have huge social media teams. So this is my pitch. For those in Artemisia watching, if you want more social media in Artemisia, I could use deputies. I could use lots of them. There is only one of me. There is, unfortunately, not going to be much streaming at all right now because there is nobody to do it on the official page. The only one right now is me. There is no Instagram. There is no TikTok. There is not much of anything because there is only me. There is nobody to step up and take my position right now. There is only me. I'd love to get into it more, but there's only me. So there you go.
That goes to you.
Exactly. I'd like to do more TikTok. I'd like to do more Instagram, but coming out of this pandemic, like I said, I had a deputy. Unfortunately, he got called away to do other things in the kingdom, and right now there's only me. I'm trying to get into doing more, but just doing the things I have to do to keep this kingdom running, there isn't time. And
definitely. So, as an aspect of retention, when you are an officer with a kingdom position, it definitely behooves having deputies to help carry that burden and lighten that load. So it's not one person responsible for all of it.
Right.
Which, if they don't have deputies, can lead to burnout, which definitely is a huge aspect in retention.
Right. I've been doing this 2 years, and I was originally, it's only a 2-year term. I volunteered to do a 3rd year simply because I couldn't hand it off to a deputy coming out of a pandemic. I just couldn't do it. It wasn't fair to them. And it's a good thing I didn't, because now I don't have a deputy. So
this is also true.
The truth is, though, I really like the job, and I didn't really want to either. I like it. I'm having fun doing it, and which I know sounds just insane.
So it doesn't. You did something recently as a social media officer that, as a longtime player, I absolutely loved. You put a post out on a kingdom page, our kingdom page for Artemisia, asking about like a series of questions that you kind of tag different members throughout the kingdom to answer for the purpose of newcomers, because our coronation is one of our, it's our 3rd real person event, and it's a big event, and it kind of allowed newcomers to ask questions and people who knew the answers to traditions to explain them to newcomers, or even people who didn't know, who happened to be longtime players.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. About coronation.
Yeah. Could you explain how you came up with that idea? Because that was really kind of cool.
Yeah, we were talking about coronation, and it occurred to me that we have got people that have moved in from out of kingdom that we were talking to some people that had moved in from out of kingdom to our local event last weekend that have never been to an Artemisian coronation. And their coronation is completely different than ours because that's the nature of different kingdoms. And I'm sure Cal can tell us about Meridier's coronation and how much different it is than ours.
He
And
witnessed firsthand, so
they were saying, we're looking forward to an Artemisian coronation because it's so much different, going to be so much different than ours. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, well, I wonder how much different it really is. And and then a few days later, I had a friend who has been to a crown tournament, but she's never been to coronation. And she's newer. She's only been playing 2 years. But because of the pandemic, her entire experience has been pandemic. She has no idea what it's going to be like. And she said, well, what's it like? And I was like, well, I could tell her about it, but it would be much more interesting to talk about some of these things from the kingdom's perspective. And so I started typing. And it was interesting to see what the answers were. And I got, a couple responses, and then it was like, well, I'll tag this person about this, and I'll tag this person about this. And then people started generating actual questions. And I still haven't gotten some of the answers I wanted. I still haven't gotten a couple of the answers. And it didn't quite work out the way I wanted, because some of it generated mass confusion, and I had to explain some things still to Allie and to Shannon, because it overloaded Shannon on some of the information. But for the most part, it worked.
I thought it was very successful, and I thought it was kind of an ingenious and inventive way to kind of share the history and tradition without having it laid out and, oh, here, go check out this website or go look at this PDF file, or, let me just sit you down and just, tell you everything. It was kind of a way to get everybody kind of engaged.
Well, and that's sort of what we try to do with social media, is we try to do it in a new and inventive way. One of the things that I've started doing with our local group is every week I do a post that says, hey, this is what's going on this week. And this is fighter practice, and this is ANS, and this is this and this and this. And I've encouraged our local groups to start doing that, because you can set up a calendar on Facebook, but I found that if you give people a, hey, this is what's happening in the Shire this week post, it's much more engaging.
Definitely.
And it does. And that way, if you have any changes, you're not relying on that calendar to be accurate either. And then the officer can pipe up and say, oh, hey, this location has changed, or this, or this, or this. And I've noticed that Bronze Helm has picked that up. And a couple of the other groups have picked that up. And it's definitely a way to engage people. And you also get a head count that way. People go, oh, hey, I'm coming to this, or I'm coming to that. You get an idea of who's coming and who's doing what. Ahead. And it just sort of gets conversation going.
Definitely.
What's great about social media is it's a free tool. It's 100% free. It's a way to advertise. It's a way to... You can hear my dog losing his mind up there.
He's chiming in. He agrees.
Actually, I think he's telling me I want to go outside. There's nobody home other than me. So, can you entertain for like 2 seconds?
I can totally entertain for like 2 seconds.
Forgive me. I'll be right back.
Hey, you got to keep the Four Lakers happy too. They are just as important members of our populace as anyone else. Are you not entertained? So, little survey here. I was told that my hair has this amazing blue tint from my lighting today. And I was told that blue looks very nice on me. So, survey says, does Rahmut either get a blue wig or dye her hair blue? I can't bleach it because it'll dye, but do I turn my hair blue? Happy puppy is happy puppy?
Happy puppy, happy puppy.
Ooh, we have one go blue. Oh, I think it's going to happen.
Sorry about that.
You are perfectly fine.
Good news is I get something to put in the cup too while I was at it.
Blue it. Blue. There's lots of votes for blue. I'm going to go blue.
Way too.
I'll have to get a hold of a hairdresser because I don't want to melt my own hair off.
Oh, now I can't get the hat straight either.
Now you're on a Dante angle.
Hell with it.
All right. So, yes, Your Excellency, Isabeau. I think we might have to have a dyeing party. If it keeps me from chopping my hair off. I was entertaining by asking if I should go blue because apparently the blue light from my screen is making my hair blue.
I like it blue. I think that'd be good. I gotta dye mine before this weekend too.
Oh, Meridies has a newcomer point Facebook group that has both older and newer players interacting, answering questions that are good for both new and old.
Huh.
And,
Ooh, I like that idea.
I believe several other kingdoms also have a page, just kind of like a newcomer's point.
I need a deputy for that.
Once again, if you are interested, or if you're in Artemisia and interested in helping with social media, boom! Social media at artemisia.sea.org. Please send your letter of intent or LOI in. Oh.
I need just one to start with.
Just let's shift a little. You had mentioned in your SCA story that you took some time away from mundane, or took some time away from SCA for mundane life. And I know one of the things that happened, if you're willing to share a little bit,
Sure.
That kind of is something that you deal with on a day-to-day basis from now on, is recovering from an injury when you come back. How
that was actually before we left, but yeah.
True. Before you left, but now you really deal with it in comparison to before. Can you touch a little on that? Because that changes how...
In 2001, so that was actually before I came back to the SCA, in between high school and when I came back the first time. I rolled a Subaru end over end 5 times. I was actually driving. Actually, no, I was playing in the SCA at the time.
Yes, you were.
I was driving to Ontier for, remember if it was their coronation or their crown tournament.
I can't remember which.
I had driven over there for a event in Yakima, and I was driving home. It was Labor Day weekend. Driving by myself, thank goodness. And I came around a corner outside of Superior, Montana at the Tarkio exit, and I think I was going about 102.
At the time, Montana had a no speed limit, FYI disclaimer.
Yeah, it wasn't no speed limit. It was called reasonable and prudent. It was, if you could go safe for the conditions, it was legal. And it was Labor Day weekend, no snow on the ground, beautiful weather, 90 miles an hour to 102 would have been reasonable and prudent. And I overcorrected on a curve. Rolled the car end over end 5 times. Road crew found me, radioed to another road crew who could get an ambulance there. And I woke up 4 days later with broken ribs on one side, cracked ribs on the other, chest tubes on both sides, collapsed lung, broken shoulder, broken humerus, lots and lots and lots of injuries. Head injury, yeah, pretty bad mess. Shoulder surgeries, arm surgeries. I was a mess. But I recovered for the most part. Lots and lots and lots and lots of surgery. But I've come back from it for the most part. It's been interesting.
So recovering from it, there are some things that are still difficult to do.
Yeah. Oh,
so many
certainly.
years later.
Certainly.
How do
my
you?
arm doesn't move the way it should. My brain doesn't work the way it should.
I think your brain works perfectly fine.
No, it doesn't. But I compensate. There are tricks that make it look like it does.
So do you find that you allow yourself and that others allow you the grace to be like, no, I can't do that. You know, I'm not able to do that in a way that does not make you feel less than?
I think so. I think others allow me a lot more grace than I do. I'm a lot harder on myself than other people are. For instance, you just gave me a lot more slack than I did. I'm a lot harder on myself, to be perfectly honest. On a daily basis, I don't cut myself near as much slack as I should, especially lately.
So,
but
what you're seeing, what you're feeling, kind of leads into my soapbox for the evening. The importance of having personal cheerleaders in the SCA.
Oh, yeah. One of the things I have to be careful to do is not take on too much. I have to remember, and this goes back to the brain thing, I have to remember that if I take on too many projects, I will drop the balls. If I have too many balls in the air, I will not accomplish all the things I need to do. And I know people look at me and think I am trying to do too many things. I am doing too many projects. I am doing too much. Like at Love Rebel, I know there were people that thought I was trying to do too many things. I actually only had one thing all day that I was doing. I was helping His Majesty. I had the guard boxes out. I had pretty much all of the Chatelaine stuff that I would normally be doing on autopilot. I had everything set up so that it would run itself, and I was helping His Majesty. Everything else that I would normally be doing was on autopilot, and that was the focus. The food truck thing was on autopilot. It was all set up and it was running itself.
That was good.
it was done and all set up, and I made sure he was good. The Chatelaine boxes, the gold key stuff was set up and it was running itself. Everything else, I didn't set up chairs. Everything else was good, you know? And I was making sure he was taken care of. The rest of it, somebody else was handling all that. I wasn't autocrating. I wasn't doing anything else. I had one thing, and I was making sure that one thing was getting done and getting done right.
Well, and that's, I mean, definitely having, the too much on your plate. I mean, it definitely has an impact on you, but it actually has an impact on all of us. And that's definitely a huge aspect as well of retention, is having too many things going. It is very hard to be successful and happy when you've got too many things going on. And you have to kind of allow yourself the ability to say, you know what? I'm able and worth not overwhelming myself, breaking my back, trying to do too many things. Today I'm only going to do XYZ. Everything else, it'll have to wait. Or somebody else can do it. And I will help find somebody to do it, but I can't take on anymore. If you have a basket that only holds 10 pounds worth of rocks, you can't put another 5-pound stone in that basket or the bottom's going to bust.
Exactly. And today I'm going to do these things, and these things that I can do and still enjoy myself.
Definitely.
And do without making myself crazy or dropping the balls. And that's okay. I can handle this. Or I'm not going to go put up that tent because I'm going to hurt myself if I put up that tent.
Ooh, that's a good one. Especially with all our friends going to Gulf Wars. I don't know who that could be, Cal. A whole bunch of other people that are incredibly awesome. Don't hurt yourselves putting up tents. Be nice. Get help. Don't be one-man armies.
I always say when they're putting up pavilions, I'm really good with my shoulder at here. Hold this. I stand there and I hold the tent pole because I'm good at here. Hold this. Can I lift that? Can I hammer that? No, but I'm good at here. Hold this. So I stand there and I hold this.
Ooh, Cal only has 3 merchants to help this year at Gulf Wars. Ooh, that's not too shabs, Cal. So I have a question about social media. We'll double back on social media again. So I see a lot of SCA players, and SCA players who not only do SCA but I'll have other hobbies that they also do, using TikTok in conjunction with Facebook, where they're kind of like posting their TikToks on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that is a way that maybe will also help engage and maybe encourage other members to head towards TikTok?
Oh yeah. And TikTok is now an approved platform. We can totally use TikTok. Absolutely.
So, what are the approved platforms? Just out of curiosity.
Okay, let's see if I can remember. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Those are the 4 that I can think of off the top of my head.
The big 4. The most common.
Those are the 4 most common.
Now the SE has no way, like, that you're aware of, to police anything on Reddit, which is the cesspool of the internet, which the only thing you should ever...
Reddit is not approved, as far as I know.
Gotcha.
And I don't see it becoming approved.
I don't either. Personal opinions, once again, these are our personal opinions, not those of the SCA Incorporated. Mm-hmm. The only thing I ever find good on Reddit is game walkthroughs. Everything else seems to have that very snarky, very negative light, and totally breaks that rule that you talked about at the beginning about don't be a dick. I kind of feel like if you're going to be a jerk, that's kind of where they go. And they kind of use it as a sounding board to complain.
The ones I can see being most useful right now are Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. I don't see Twitter is not terribly useful right now, for the simple fact that Twitter is really only useful in the moment. Twitter is useful for things like during a crown tournament. Crown tournament is really the time that it is most useful.
Yeah, I find that that's when my Twitter feed for SCA comes most active, is during crown tourneys across the known world.
Right. So that's when it's the most useful. I can see TikTok becoming really useful for engaging people, especially newcomers.
Well, and it's kind of targeted, initially was targeted for definitely a younger generation of users, but now it's kind of being used across vast age demographics.
Right. I can see it being really useful for getting people's attention. And there was a social media group, the Kingdom group did a demo on how to use it recently. I wasn't able to go because I had a previous commitment, but I'm going to go back and watch it here.
Girl, if you need help with the TikToks, we got the hookups.
Probably next week after coronation, I'll probably sit down and watch it.
Maybe we'll do a TikTok at coronation. We can do a TikTok at coronation.
Totally that would be really interesting to do a TikTok at coronation. I'd like to try to watch that this week and try to get a feel for it. But I think doing some TikTok at coronation would be interesting and an interesting way to use it, and try to get some experience with it and try to see what we can do with it.
Ooh. But we got good ideas coming in our comments. Cal had mentioned, let's remember that every social media site and tool, and he lists them, has its own purpose, and the right tool should be used for the right purpose.
Absolutely.
And then Aslak also says, each platform have a use, but every post should have a purpose. And that kind of falls under Socrates filter. My brain's glitching here. There's a whole theory about, if you have something to say, is it truthful? Is it useful? And there's one other filter. And if it can go through all those things and still remain
right, exactly,
that's when you would say it. It doesn't hurt anybody. That's the other filter. So is it truthful? Is it useful? And is it hurting anybody? Or is it not hurting you? Pops through. Hey, you can say it. And it's kind. Thank you, Cal. I appreciate that.
Is it truthful? Is it useful? Is it kind? Exactly. Yeah. And it's definitely something we can play with. Definitely. I think it's an interesting idea, and we should mess with it. So
I agree. So how would you, and this is you personally, not the social media SEA as a whole, how would you prefer ideally to have a model of hybrid in-person online things go post-pandemic now? Or is your model, I would prefer it all become back the way it was, all in person and not virtual at all?
Absolutely not. I am really excited to continue to use some of these tools. I would love to see them continue to be used because, like I said, they're a great retention and a great engagement tool. What I love about it is the classes and the outreach to other kingdoms. I think the fact that we can Okay, so Cal is a great example. The fact that he has been able to use these different series in his channel to connect other kingdoms has been really awesome and really cool. In fact, getting to meet him this fall and connect you and connect us and connect me with him for possible future endeavors has been really, really cool and a lot of fun. And it's interesting because now, we have all these friends in other kingdoms and all these other things that are continuing to bear fruit is great because, now we've got all of these other things that are going to come down the pike and continue to form ideas and things that give us all of these other things that are going to form other ideas. Because, now you've got the thing Isgirtha's doing with the youth program that's going to continue to develop that, and Road to Retention, and all of these other things that are continuing to spin off and create ideas and things for people. You've got classes where people can learn to do all sorts of arts and sciences stuff.
Everything and anything almost.
All of these ideas that could have never happened before are now just
Cal. Cal's mentioned it. Maybe a how-to show coming from somebody.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if you want to talk about that yet or not, do you?
No, we're just teasing it for right now. Just a tease. You'll get interviewed again. I'm sure of it before that happens.
We can talk about that later. I don't know. We can let the cat out of the bag about that maybe a little bit later. But you can make that decision here, Lowell, Cal. But no, this idea that we can continue to develop all of these ideas and have people talking about things and learning about things outside of in-person events is just an amazing idea.
Well, I don't know about you.
I love it. I'm excited about it.
I found that the pandemic allowed me to do something that I couldn't do in person due to monetary, restrictions, due to time restrictions. Like, I can't make it to a bunch of different events all over the known world. I want to go to all these events, but I can't. But yet, I can now think of SCA instead of just a local or a kingdom level. I can now think of SCA as a global level because I'm able to interact with members from all over the whole known world. And had we not had the pandemic that forced us into this virtual kind of social media world, never would have happened.
I think of it as kind of a gift. And I'm, in a weird way, kind of grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's given us the SCA in an entirely different world. And Artemisia was very lucky because some kingdoms chose to kind of shut down and close their eyes and pretend that it wasn't happening. And Artemisia went, okay, how can we see this differently? How can we do this differently?
Yeah.
And Artemisia embraced it. Artemisia went, okay, bring it on.
Well, Artemisia is a kingdom that has a very large land area, but not necessarily all their members all close by each other.
Oh yeah, we are so spread out that we either choose to embrace it or we crawl into a hole and die. I mean, we're
kind of
spread out anyway.
And their graces, Damon and Veronique, with Excellency Saffeea, like totally pulled out all this. stoppers to make it happen as best as they
came
are
to
able
me,
to.
they came to me and they said, they came to me and they came to Fia and they said, okay, how can we make this happen? And Fia and I looked at each other and went, well, it was mostly Fia. I'll give her that. And we said, well, okay. And she figured it out and I helped fill in some of the holes. And they just sort of made it happen and I helped them where I could. And
we thank you for it. And we thank their graces. We thank them.
I just helped. You know,
well, and you have that policy side that you have to advise them. Like, this is our idea. I'm your, Kingdom social media. I have these policies that we have to kind of take your idea and filter it through.
I filled in the blanks. I mean, really.
So going forward, the ideal is to continue something similar to what we're seeing right now, with this hybrid situation.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's totally trying to do, and there's more I want to do. But again, it's going to be,
you need people to help lighten the load.
It's doing what I can do, on my own, trying to get some help, but unfortunately that help has to come from people who are not filling major offices, and that's going to be the problem. I have had some volunteers, but those volunteers are filling other roles. They're more than qualified, but unfortunately, because they're filling other positions, they can't. And so I've got to get some people that aren't filling other positions. So.
Christina, oh, you are small, but you are mighty. I love that.
Thank you. I appreciate that more than you know. I'm also really, really tired.
All I can hear in my head is somebody in Artemisia Kingdom in the Mrs. Doubtfire voice is like, help is on the way.
I wish. No, you know what though? It's not been bad. I am not complaining by any means. There's so much more I want to do. And it was pointed out to me tonight by somebody that I do need help. So, yeah,
Well, once again,
I've got to keep doing what I'm doing. And
a great part of retention is also having something to do sometimes. Like, yeah, it's great to go to events. It's great to hang out. But to help somebody do a job, to help somebody, maybe lighten the load, that's why we help other people carry things. That's why we help set up, we help do dishes, we help clean. We're a community that works well when we function with each other. And if we don't help,
I did not plan on coming to pitch for a deputy tonight. I was planning on doing it at Coronation this weekend.
Oh, you're still going to pitch it next weekend. I'll nudge you. And other offices also need deputies. It's kind of
and there's other offices that certainly need it. So
if you ever, regardless of what kingdom, what barony, what shire, what canton, what crown land you live in, ever interested in, hey, what does a position do? You could job shadow a position. Hey, I want to see what it is you do. You mind if I job shadow you and kind of find out a little bit about your position, or just tell me about it? Or
check your media page.
Be a deputy. Deputies are always needed, and the more the merry. Like, having more than one deputy is great because, let's say you're not available, one of your deputies isn't available, there's another person who's equally as trained or capable to handle whatever is thrown at them. Like, it's definitely something that's helpful. And as an officer, having a deputy, no. Cal points something out. Deputy didn't always equal replacement. It shouldn't, and it so often is used that way. A deputy is kind of just a fill-in as a temporary to let you try out the position. You don't have to put in a letter of intent to be a deputy to take that position if you want to just be a deputy. It's just to help out. Learn the job, kind of decide if you like it or not.
And you can always check your social media page. That's where they put up the advertisements for deputies and replacements.
Definitely.
Both usually for all the positions. So.
And usually social media officers are really great about keeping the list of officers that we're looking for in whatever kingdom updated, and who's looking for deputies pretty current. Like it's nice. Very, very nice. Deputy, equal learning curve. Yes! Being a deputy does have a learning curve. And it is the time to try, the time to learn, and determine whether or not you want to do it. If you want to do it down the road, you say, hey, when you step down, I'm putting in my letter of intent. I want that job. It's not a given that you get the job. It's a, hey, I already have the training. I kind of like it, or I kind of don't. Bye. Whatever it happens to be. But having a deputy is greatly appreciated. And if you feel like you are lost and don't have a place to do something in the SCA, it's definitely a good way to go. All right, soapbox off. So, my dear friend, you do have a superpower in the SCA.
I do.
That you need to kind of point out, because I know several other people with this kind of superpower across the known world.
I do.
And that is kind of directing people to things they didn't know we do in the SCA.
Oh, I guess I
do in our area in the SCA. You want to talk about that superpower a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I guess
other people to acquire it.
Oh, I guess they kind of do. Yeah. So one of my friends today mentioned that I am apparently incredibly good at, oh, hey, so there's this thing over here that you didn't know existed and you've been playing for like 3 years. And this person knows how to do it. Do you want me to introduce you? I guess it was archery, and she apparently, her husband has been playing for a long time and she's just started to get into it. And she's been around him for like 5 years and she's been playing for about a year, and she had no idea we had archery. And so she's just started to get into archery. And
well, but it is not just archery. Like you and many others, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I kind of see it as being the cheerleader for everybody in the SCA gives us that opportunity to go look at somebody, whether they're an existing player who's played for decades or a brand new player, and be like, hey, have you ever heard of blah, blah, blah? I know somebody who does blah, blah, blah. Would you like to come check it out? I'll totally introduce you and hook you up. I mean, you can call it enabling, you can call it cheerleading, you can call it whatever. But I mean, that's definitely a superpower that people can acquire.
Just a little bit.
That definitely helps retention in a huge way.
Yeah, I always say, I know somebody who knows somebody who does such and such.
You know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy?
I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. Yeah. I think I know somebody in the SCA who does just about everything. The only person I know who knows somebody who does more than I do is probably His Majesty Sean. Who probably knows more people who knows more people who do more things.
No, definitely His Majesty Sean knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, or knows a girl who knows a girl who knows a girl, or knows a they that knows a them that knows a them.
Yeah. He's probably the only person.
He is very well traveled,
and knows more people that know people than I do.
And he is very, very social, which is a skill that in his favor that allows him to have the giant, huge network.
Connecting people like that is absolutely a skill. And my husband is absolutely not one of those people. And he counts on me to do it. He counts on me to do it.
It does happen.
If I can't do it for him, Sean does it for him. So it's like, what if you have to introduce me to so and so? And we just look at each other and go, okay, you want to do it or should I? I'm like, oh, it's your turn. He goes, oh, okay, I got it. And we go and introduce Ian to the guy, so take care of it.
So
I'm like, Ian, you really have to do this. And he's like, no, you can do it for me.
Yeah, you'll just have to encourage him to develop his own superpower.
Oh no, he has his own superpower.
Well, your woodworking
is his superpower.
You just gotta convince him to acquire this one.
He makes things.
He does make things. He makes amazing things.
So
we're almost at the end of our hour, and I like to do a shout out to somebody across the known world. Obviously, I am in Artemisia, as is Saffeea. My shout out today is once again an Artemisian, although I don't only do shout outs to Artemisian. I just want to make that clear. It's actually to Mistress Germain, because she was broadcasting some amazing video yet again of two elevations this weekend, which is greatly appreciated for the people that could not make it. And so my shout out is to her. She also helps run tech, I believe, on occasion. In particular for Isgar's youth show. And I think maybe, I'll look inside the SCA for Isgar's show. Perfect. Yeah. So that's who my shout out is to. Do you have a shout out that you would like to share?
Me?
Yeah. You shout out anybody in the whole known world.
I have no idea you were going to do this to me.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that pre-show. Sorry, my bad. You don't have to. Or you could just say hi to somebody. You don't have to shout out. You can just say hi.
I would like to shout out to the newcomers of Stanworm.
What? Newcomers? Let's just newcomers all over. But definitely Stanworm newcomers, but all over. Woo, woo! All right. Well, coming up on Coffee with Cal on 3/13, March 13th at 11 a.m. Central, it's the Gulf War special. So, it's all of you, all the people at Gulf Wars. Come tell a story, come tell a joke, come sing a song with Cal. And following his show, he will have a meet and greet. So if you want to join Kal-bardr's Corner for the meet and greet, it looks like it's at the Southern Consortium Camp at 12:30. My next guest on the next show is a mystery guest. Dun, dun, dun. So if you wanted to catch my next Road to Retention, it will be obviously 2 Sundays away here, and we don't know who the guest is yet. It could be one of you out there in the audience, for all we know. Once again, it's a mystery. If you want to support KK Productions, you can go to the Patreon page. you could be on this grand wall of patrons by going to patreon.com/KK Productions. There's different donation levels. It's flipping amazing, but also if you want to support them, but you don't want to do it on Patreon, you can go to Redbubble because the coolest stickers exist. Search KK Productions on Redbubble. There is a trauma onion. I'm just saying. Sprite sprinkles, you know? You gotta, or spite sprinkles. Sorry, Helga, my bad. Or, you know, I want to see what is Cal doing on TikTok? You could check him at Kal-bardr. Or if you want to see what is Crazy Rahmut up to these days, you could go to @GinaKits on TikTok. If you want to check out Coronation next weekend in the Kingdom of Artemisia, there might be some TikToks posted between myself and Fia Still Fia at TikTok. So I don't have any final words other than follow the philosophy that you provided at the beginning of the show. Let's not be a dick. Thanks, everybody.